What's happening, guys? So today I want to talk about the first 20 hours by How to Learn Anything Fast by Josh Kaufman. The principle of this book, as it says, how to learn anything fast. The principle he used in this was how to take anything you've never done before, any brand new skill you know absolutely nothing about, and how to become at least adequate at it within 20 hours. Now that can be bottled down to 45 minutes a day for a month, a couple hours in a week, or even just 2 full days and an evening over a weekend. And the principle in this is to take anything that you used to be too afraid to do, any skill that just seemed too far in the distance you never achieve, and break it down to the point where you're no longer useless at it, really. So you take anything, languages, sport, technical subjects, physical activities, and you break them down right to the very core basic principles, and you build up your foundation, like with anything, like how you learned to walk as a kid or learn to speak as a child. It's just taking the fundamentals and making it so that you progress to an end goal that you want to achieve. Now, you don't have to be the best at it. This isn't the 10,000 hour rule where you pick a subject, you dedicate 10 years of your life to it, and you become the top 0.1% in the world. All you're looking for here is to be about 80% of the population, because a lot of skills, really, 80% of the population know nothing about. Because let's face it, we can't do everything. So in this, he chooses loads of examples from yoga, playing Go, learning windsurfing, subjects he's never tackled before, and how he learned to do them. Not enough per se to be an expert or to do them competitively, but enough where maybe a novice like myself, for instance, who has never played Go, would turn around and be like, wow, he's pretty good. So the main principles in this, if I go and find it, is how to deconstruct your learning. He talks about, a lot of it is breaking down, making a lot of things obvious that you probably do know, but you just never think about. The main thing to take away from this is the 10 principles for learning and acquiring new skills. I'm going to read them out to you. So number 1, choose a lovable project. That's whatever you're wanting to learn, whether it's some sort of computer software, some sort of vehicle you want to learn to drive, or even just how to read faster. After that, you focus your energy on one skill at a time. Don't try and go between a couple of skills, because you'll get mental confusion and you won't be as effective in focusing on that goal. You want to immerse yourself into it, really. After that is define your target performance level. That could be very basic. If you're learning a language, it could be to simply have a basic conversation. Hi, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. How are you? That's good. I need directions, something like that. Deconstruct the skill into sub-skills. Now this is, you take something complicated, let's say riding a bike, and you take it down to the basics, right? So you need to hold your balance, you need to be able to rotate the pedals as you go forward, you need to be able to brake, you need to be able to turn the handlebars. Once you learn all the individual components, you can ride a bike. Obtain critical tools. Again, for the bike analogy, you need a bike. You want to, I don't know, learn a language. You can download language learning apps. There's plenty of books on it. You want to learn to garden, you need gardening utensils. You want to learn to cook, you need cooking utensils, etc., etc. After that, eliminate barriers of practice. So anything that's a distraction, whether it's your phone, TV, the kids, I don't know, just shove it all out of the way. You need to dedicate, your allotted time for practice is sacred, and you need to have 100% focus on nothing that's going to deter you away. If you're like me and you're a bit scatterbrained, You don't want to suddenly be like, oh, what's that? What's going on over there? You want to be able to say, I have this time to do this one thing. After that, you've got make dedicated time for practice. Again, you want to immerse yourself, and you don't want to be looking for excuses. You don't want to come home, maybe watch a bit of TV, just generally plutter around and then not have enough time, because you want to make it consistent enough that you're regularly drilling into yourself that new skill or that new challenge you're trying to overcome. Create fast feedback loops. So you want to know whether you're doing it correctly or not. So you need to develop a way of finding out whatever you're doing is right or wrong, whether that's a coach or an app you're using, anything that can give you as quick as feedback as possible, because once you've drilled in a routine of something, it's very hard to break. So you don't want to be learning something that's incorrect, because then it gets harder to change than just learning it correctly the first time around. After that, you've got practice by the clock in short bursts. So they always say in practice you need to go repeat something over and over and over again. It's not about dedicating time, it's about how many times you do it to achieve your goal. But in this rapid skill acquisition, you want to do it by the clock, because to begin with, it's very frustrating. It can be very antagonizing, but you want to keep going. So if you say give yourself 45 minutes or an hour and you're frustrated after 20 minutes, if you didn't give yourself that lot of time, after 20 minutes, you might say to yourself, I need a break, I need out here, I just need to do something else. Whereas if you give yourself an hour, you know, right, I've only got 40 minutes left, let's keep going. And that'll force you to get the repetitions in, to keep repeating it over and over until you either get it into your head, or if you're doing it correctly, you keep going until it becomes correct, and then from there you keep going, so that it's no longer just, oh, I did it correctly. It's that you never do it wrong. You just keep repeating it until you can't go wrong. And the last skill is emphasize quantity and speed. So the analogy he provides for this is there's a famous potter who's teaching a pottery class. I think it's a potter anyway. And in this pottery class, he decides to split the class in half. So one half of the class get their grade marked on the quality of the pot they make. So they've got to be able to produce the highest quality pot they can make. And in this, it's 100% of their grade is marked on this one pot and how good it is. On the other half, however, they're solely marked on the number of pots they can make. So the more pots, it doesn't matter how good or bad they are, the more pots they can churn out, the higher their grade will be at the end of the year. So you've got one half doing the nicest, highest quality pot they can make, and the second half making the largest number of pots available. So what happens after the full year? What way do you think it would go? Well, a lot of people would think that the people who would be the best at pottery at the end of the year would be the ones making the highest quality, because they've made the nicest ones. They've focused on making it as great as it can be. But what happens is it's actually the ones who did the quantity rather than the quality who ended up being better, and not only achieving a high grade from churning out as many pots as possible, but we're also surprisingly creating higher quality pots than the first lot. Now, why is this? In skill acquisition, so these people have gone from not knowing anything about how to make pots to being potters at the end of the year. This first half spent most of the time learning the theory behind pottery, what makes a good pot, what grade of clay to use, what level, what artistic creativity goes into the perfect pot. Whereas they're not making many pots. So although they've read all this information, they know everything that's going about a pot, they physically can't repeat it themselves, because they don't have the ability to physically make a good quality pot to match what they've been reading up on. They just simply haven't done the hours of practice to make the pot of the quality they're trying to achieve. The quantity, however, are just churning out hundreds of pots, getting those motor skills going, learning those skills as they get along. As soon as they become fluent in making one part of the pot, they might try something else in this next pot. And then by the end of it, although they've not done maybe all the research, maybe they've done 1 or 2 bits of reading in their spare time, but they haven't wasted all that time gaining all that knowledge but not applying it. So that's also another good point that's unfortunately not mentioned in the book, but is a very good thing to take home, is chunk learning. So learning just enough that you can carry on with your skill. Actually, it is mentioned in the book. Sorry, this is where I got it from. Chunk learning. So you're stuck. You don't know what to do. You go away, and instead of learning everything about the topic, you learn just enough to allow you to keep moving forward. And that way you get this perfect balance between being able to streamline what you're doing and being able to practice it. Because let's face it, if you've got all the knowledge in the world but you can't utilize it, it's wasted. Absolutely wasted. So yeah, that's the book. The one issue I do relatively have with the book is all the examples he produces are what he tried himself, and a lot of them were very relatively basic pastimes. There was nothing much in the way of technical that may, say, progress you in your career, or something that will help you move forward career-wise or professionally. But I think might also be the beauty of the book, is that it gives you just enough examples to understand the concepts, and then you get the opportunity, since a lot of the skills you want to learn aren't in this book, it gives you the opportunity to go out and discover it yourself, rather than just following a list that he's produced in the book, which again gets you thinking. Rather than just mindlessly going through it, you have to think about how you will achieve this skill. So yeah, it's definitely a good read. It's a relatively quick read. Very basic, but there's a lot of good diagrams, a lot of good pictures to explain what he's talking about. So yeah, I would definitely pick up a copy, see how you get on, and I don't know, maybe you'll learn a couple of skills. Even if you do it takes about a month if you do 45 minutes a day. So if you took a whole year, that's 12 brand new things that you could learn from one Christmas to the other. And imagine how much further in life you could get, even just learning 12 things. That could be a language, a sport, public speaking. That's only 3, and that would get you relatively far in life, just that alone. Maybe after that you do learn how to network. Maybe you're an engineer and you want to learn how to do CAD software. Maybe you're a graphic designer and you want to learn how to use Photoshop. Now, just learning the basic skills, you can still progress from there. And the beauty is, if you invest that time, you realize at the end, oh, this isn't quite for me, then what have you wasted? Absolutely nothing. Not only have you developed the basic level of understanding a skill in something, but you're no longer wasting any time imagining, oh, what would it be like if I had learned that skill? Because you've started and you've realized it's not quite for you. It's not what you need in your life. Which is good, because it removes a lot of that time wasting thinking and dreaming about stuff. It makes it actionable, and sometimes actions are hit or miss, but at least you're actioning what you're wanting to do. So I definitely recommend this book if you manage to get a copy.